Winter meetings have officially kicked off, so we are diving into everything on the hot stove right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome into Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet. I'm your host, Nicholas Playerlog, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. We got a couple rumors and rumblings that we got to go over. I assume that what we're going to talk about today will sadly probably not be relevant in like 24 hours because that's just how it goes with the winter meetings. But you never know, right? Like maybe one of these guys actually goes and signs this contract or presumed contract that we'll talk about, and it's like bam, boom, dusted. There it is. So we're gonna get into all of it, man. Yeah. Where do you want to start today?
Well, let's start from the top down in terms of the rankings of free agents. You know, number one right now on the board is Kyle Tucker, and if you're an OG on this channel, if you are an OG, shout out to you. You know that we're Blue Jay fans, so we got to talk about Kyle Tucker and the chase the Blue Jays are having for him. Kyle Tucker right now, we all know this. The Blue Jays are making a strong push for him. This right now is a quote per Mark Feinsand, who's at the winter meetings. He usually comes out with some pretty good articles, so I highly encourage you to check him out. Obviously, we know earlier this week or last week, he came over to the Blue Jays facility. And one other kind of sprinkle note, we kind of expected him to go check out other facilities. Apparently he has no plans to check out the Yankees facility, so they're out of the running. And apparently, the Dodgers, they're not really going to push hard as much as the Blue Jays are for him. So it feels like the word on the street is they're out of the running. It's probably going to be the Phillies in there and other kind of clubs. But like other, big market teams that aren't those upper echelon teams like the Yankees or the Dodgers. But the Blue Jays are one of those teams. And they're going to be pushing hard right now. And yeah, I mean, that's been kind of the story on the street. But, if you were to ask me, like, when is it going to happen this spring or this winter meeting? Probably not, I'd say. And a lot of people are kind of thinking the same. I don't have the exact quotes up here. I was kind of just doom scrolling on Twitter.
Well, Tucker isn't expected to make a decision before the end of the meetings.
Well, there you go. Actually, I didn't read that. There you go. He's not expected to make anything before winter meetings. So probably just going to come here, do his due diligence, have his agent meet with all the GMs, just kind of shop around, get his price tag up. But he probably won't be going in the next 3 to 4 days.
I think that this winter meeting time, he's going to be meeting with all of them, right? Like this is literally your time to sit down with all of those teams, whether it be the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Phillies or whoever, and you are going to hear their pitch and you are going to hear what it is that their 10-year plan is with you involved in that 10-year plan. So for Kyle Tucker, like he's going to do all his due diligence. Now come end of winter meeting, so come Wednesday, come Thursday, when it's all kind of wrapped up and now he's got all these pitches, could I see something going down? Potentially, right? Maybe he just gets that offer that he's looking for, doesn't want to screw around with the whole bidding war thing, and decides to put pen to paper because he is going to get hundreds of millions of dollars offered to him over the next 3 days by several other teams. So if there's something that he really likes, I could see at the end of all of this that happening. Granted, he might also want to get that bidding war going, and you might start to see some of that happen in the next couple days. Toronto's still the favorite right now, but Phillies, they might come out of the woodwork and, there could be some reports that they're getting close.
Right, and it does feel like he needs a bidding war. Like I mentioned, there aren't many teams that are fighting for Kyle Tucker right now. A lot of teams are kind of falling out, and a lot of the concern right now, and this was on MLB Network, a lot of the concern is that his second half, he had a lot of injuries, and he slowed down his production near the end, and that $400 million mark that everyone was kind of thinking about initially, apparently those rumblings out there that they're not necessarily thinking that he's going to hit that $400 million mark. Could be a little bit less, could be some opt-outs, could be some less years. So, if you're Kyle Tucker, you're thinking, oh, shit, like my market's going down. I got to stay in here long and hope that someone's going to throw in a big bag at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would be surprised, honestly, if he doesn't end up getting up to that point. I get it. Yeah, injuries are a real thing. And in the season prior, he definitely did have some.
Big time.
But, at the end of the day, we're still talking about Kyle Tucker, who is a 5-tool guy. So you're going to hear a lot about him coming in the next few days. Right now, Toronto's the favorite, but God only knows what's going to happen in 24 hours. Another team could easily swoop in there.
If you got a prediction, though, where do you think he's going to go?
Honestly, right now, it does feel like Toronto is the squad, and I would have to, like, if somebody held a gun to my head and said, where is he going, I would genuinely have to say Toronto. And that's mainly because I don't know who else is going to do this. Like, I think the Phillies make a lot of sense, but I haven't heard nearly as much about the Phillies as I have with Toronto. Maybe that's because they've been a bit more tight-lipped about it. Maybe the reporters over there aren't as savvy as the Toronto guys and aren't leaking this stuff. I'm not sure, but that's the only other squad to me that like really makes a ton of sense, and I could see him going there and like checking all the boxes. Other than that, yeah, like the Dodgers don't seem as motivated. The Yankees don't seem as motivated. The Mets went out and paid Soto and got their outfielder. Like, Toronto's the team that makes the most sense and also has the most rumors associated with it.
Yeah, well, like, speaking of Toronto, I think a lot of what happens in that Kyle Tucker market is going to directly impact a lot of markets, like many free agents do. And one big market is Bo Bichette right now. And we heard a report last week that apparently the Red Sox are pursuing Bo Bichette, and they're being very aggressive, and they really are targeting him, which makes a lot of sense. If you look at Bo Bichette's career numbers at Fenway Park, they are outstanding. I mean, many players' numbers at Fenway Park are outstanding. All you have to do as a right-hander is just either hit it high over the wall or hit a liner off the wall, and you got a double or a home run, and it's easy money, right? So Bo Bichette, that could be a fallback plan or plan A, I guess, for the Red Sox if Tucker goes to the Blue Jays.
I think this makes a lot of sense for Boston. They lost 2 infielders in the last 12 months, being Alex Bregman and Rafael Devers, cornerstone infielders right there. We don't know what's going on with Alex Bregman. We don't know if he's going to come back, but I think that if you take Bo Bichette and you put him into that lineup, like, that is just going to boost all of this up. Yeah. And the Boston lineup is sneakily, I think, going to be better than a lot of people expect because it is filled with so much youth. But if you bring somebody in like Bo Bichette, who's a lock for 175 hits every year that he's healthy, that's obviously going to have a trickle-down effect, and it is going to help the Roman Anthonys, and it is going to help the Willie Abreu's, and it is going to help the Yoshidas. Like, I think this Boston lineup could be very good, but they do need to add in somebody like a Bo to kind of replace that Bregman that they're losing right now.
Yeah, I mean, you said 175 locked in if he's healthy. I mean, hell, he wasn't healthy at the end there last year, and he had 181. He could have easily got 200. And then there was a long point there where he was unhealthy on the IL, and he was still leading the league in hits. So, yeah, I agree with you. And he wouldn't be a crazy, trying to put a circle into a square puzzle piece kind of fit, because you could look over. Rafaela plays outfield. Bo Bichette could play second base, take his place on Fangraphs, move him in the outfield. Story's going to be here for a little bit longer, but, if you really needed to, you can go play shortstop for Story if he's hurt, because he's had a long injury history right there. So, yeah, I agree. I think that would be the number one target for the Red Sox, and that all depends if the Blue Jays do end up getting a Kyle Tucker, because it really doesn't feel like I know a lot of teams are kind of looking at Bo Bichette, but I haven't really heard a hell of a lot of guys like being enamored by him other than the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, look, Boston could screw everything up for Toronto. If they're capable of convincing Bo Bichette to just sign a deal before Kyle Tucker goes, then that would really put the put flame to fire for the Toronto Blue Jays, right? Like, your ass is on it, because you have to go down and you have to get Kyle Tucker at that point. We're all just assuming that the Bo Bichette market is not going to really ramp up until Kyle Tucker goes, and that's because I think a lot of us are assuming, well, he's going to wait for Toronto. I mean, he might just say fuck it if he gets a really good deal from Boston, and he's totally well within his right to do so, because Toronto is out here flirting with some other free agent. He doesn't know what's going to happen with Kyle Tucker. So if I'm Bo Bichette and I do get a good deal from the Boston Red Sox, I would seriously consider it. I'm not sure when.
We don't know.
I don't know when this could happen. I don't know.
Maybe it's my bias creeping in, but I still believe that Bo Bichette would take whatever offer he's receiving and then give a Toronto, an opportunity to counter, because of all the things we've heard. He wants to play with one organization's whole career. He wants to play with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, hello, that screams Toronto, obviously, for obvious reasons. So, I would hope, maybe it's the bias, the fan creeping in, but I would hope that he would give them another chance. That's why I think it might still last. I think he's going to last till January.
Well, here's the thing, though. That could all be true, but it actually might not matter, because let's just say, for instance, he gets a deal from Boston right now. It's $200 million. Okay, he goes to the Toronto Blue Jays. He says, hey, guys, here's the deal. If you counter this, if you want to tack on an extra 5%, I'm yours. I'll sign it today. They go back to him and they say, you know what? we can't do that right now because we're talking to Kyle Tucker, right? Well, if I'm Bo Bichette, like I don't know, like if you get Kyle Tucker, I might be screwed, right? So
or
like
you
if
just go take the $200 million.
exactly, or
Yeah,
they,
so
from Boston, it's like
you could sit pretty good though if you're Bo Bichette.
well, you don't know what's going on with Boston either. You can't trust that deal's going to be good in 2 months. Right, that deal could obviously they might go ahead and they might make some moves. Right, they might get it back. Alex
Who's better
Bregman.
than Bo Bichette? Yeah, maybe Alex Bregman, but like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's still going to develop, as the way it's supposed to. I feel like, and a lot of people right now are saying in the winter meetings like there might not be a lot of moves because of Kyle Tucker kind of holding. It might be Kyle Schwarber because he's kind of an outlier that could domino effect an actual Kyle Tucker move. But like right now, he feels like he's blocking guys like Bregman, guys like Bo Bichette. Because of the other teams that are interested.
Yeah, look, and I do think there is an extent to that. I guess it all depends on how crazy Boston's willing to go if in their Bo Bichette sweepstakes right now. If they are willing to give them the big number, then who knows? Maybe he does end up going over there. We got something about Mr. Kyle Schwarber here, a team coming out of the woodwork that you would not expect. Pittsburgh Pirates right now offering him a 4-year deal, and the offer is almost certainly for at least $100 million. It better be at least $100 million for a guy who hit 56 home runs last year.
Yeah, dude, if you're not offering him at least $25 million a year, then you're in the wrong market right now. But hey, you know what? Hats off to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I really respect this move. I've heard nothing from you guys, and this is getting me excited. And the same kind of reaction I had when I heard the Reds were making some aggressive pushes for guys. I was like, hell yeah, go ahead, make some moves. Because for years we've been screaming at the Pirates, what the hell are you doing? You've got one of the best pitchers, of this generation in Paul Skeens and good surrounding cast around him. Go make some moves. And they never did. They needed to make moves offensively. Yeah, you've got, Brian Reynolds, but he's getting a little bit older. Spencer Horwitz put up a decent year. Shout out to our former Toronto Blue Jay. He put up a decent year. O'Neal Cruz has never really hit that star status, and it's probably because there's so much bloody pressure on this dude to be the superstar. I always do believe if you bring in good players to take pressure off other good players, everyone's going to start playing a hell of a lot better. Like, who knows? You're bringing Kyle Schwarber, who doesn't give a shit. He's getting paid. He'll hit homers. He feels like a veteran that's, got ice in his veins. Maybe that frees up O'Neal Cruz a little bit. Maybe that offense gets just churning a little bit, and maybe you could support that pitching staff finally.
Maybe, man. I don't know. I think I look at Pittsburgh right now, and whilst Kyle Schwarber would still be awesome for them, I'm not going to say it's a bad move by any stretch of the imagination. I think that there's just such a long way for them to go. And realistically, getting a guy who is, how old is he, 33 right now? I just don't think that gives you enough time to, really create a window of offense.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying creates like, a huge window and like they're going to go and make a big push for the postseason and whatnot. But like, it's a right step in the right direction. You bring in Kyle Schwarber, maybe you win 81 games next year. Like, okay, people start freeing up, people start getting hitting their primes. Maybe you go add another starting pitcher. Your offseason's not over yet. Okay, great, you win 81 games. Build upon that. And like, they're so far back, the Pirates organization, you can't fix it all in one offseason. It's got to be stepping stones. And then by the time Kyle Schwarber leaves, you got to hope that other people have come here and you've made an exciting place to play alongside Paul Skeens and company.
I guess the thing is, like, for me, I think about something like that, and I'm like, that sounds more of like a 5 to 10 year plan. And, Paul Skeens doesn't have 5 to 10 years on his deal and certainly wouldn't want to be with the Pirates after his deal is done. So, I mean, if I was Pittsburgh, I would personally be looking at somebody potentially just a little bit younger. I get it, though. Like, if I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, I would not complain at all about getting somebody like Kyle Schwarber. Like, that's going to be the best acquisition that you guys have had in years.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know if it necessarily moves the needle for me. No, I don't know if they win 81 games with Kyle Schwarber.
You got to try anything. And that's the thing, like, we're from a place of luxury right now where we feel like we can kind of pick and choose who we want. The Toronto Blue Jays, like, they have no choice. Like, if anybody shows any interest in coming here, get him.
Yeah,
go get him.
That's totally fair, right? And at the very least, you know what? I always think it's better to have good players than not have good players.
Exactly.
So, and Kyle Schwarber is undeniably a good player. Would be shocked though if he ended up going there.
Yeah.
Do not see that happening. I don't like if Philadelphia loses out to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Clearly, they didn't actually want him that bad.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is also in this mix as well. It feels like a lot of teams are in the mix for Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
I don't see him picking Pittsburgh.
I really want the Reds to go get Kyle Schwarber, hometown guy. I could see them being one Kyle Schwarber move away from being, oh man, maybe we'll go to the NLDS, maybe in a good year NLCS, right? If everyone's healthy and clicking, because they were right. They made playoffs. They just were missing a lot from that team.
Yeah, 100%, man. And Kyle Schwarber's the type of guy where if he gets hot at the right time, could just win you a whole series. If in the NLDS, Kyle Schwarber pops off for 5 homers, well, congratulations, you just won. And he does have that capability. Final thing right here, guys. Ketel Marte, biggest name on the trade market right now. Few teams checking in on him. Few teams that don't normally pop up around this time. That being the Rays and the Tigers. Now, the Red Sox are also checking in on him. Makes sense for them. They're looking for more infield help. That would obviously add up right there. Rays don't often check in on people like this. Tigers have been rumored to be thinking about trading away Tarek Skubal, which would be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But they're looking at Ketel Marte right now, and I think the biggest reason why is his contract is just so team-friendly.
Yeah. I mean, we broke this down on our Blue Jays Today show. It's just beautiful right here. You don't need me to tell you. If you can read it, you can read it, but I'll say it for the audio guys. We got $16 million this year, 2026. $12 million 2027, and then it goes 20, 22, 22, and then they have a player option for 11, which I don't know if he'll take it or not. We'll see what he plays like at age 37. But any team, if you're looking for a guy in his prime and you want him to join your window, you go trade for Ketel Marte. I actually like the Tigers to do this. Very similar to the Reds, where you're right there. I mean, you had 2 back-to-back seasons where you were right there, and you lost in dramatic fashion to those Guardians. You could have beat them, but you didn't. You go add Ketel Marte, and that really shores up the infield and adds I know Javier Baez is technically a veteran, and he was good last year, but add another guy who's a veteran in that clubhouse, and I think that would go a long way for this Detroit Tiger team.
And he's not just a veteran; he's an MVP candidate.
Yeah, in his prime.
Exactly.
He's in his prime.
He will quite literally, he's a difference maker, man.
Yeah.
For me, he's a massive difference maker. And obviously, sure, he's getting a little bit up there in age, but he'll be 32 this year, and they've shown zero signs at all of slowing down. In fact, kind of getting better as his career goes on. So that is one of the better contracts that anyone is on in MLB, to be honest, because that's just the price of a standard baseball player.
That's like an OPS of 730.
Exactly. You just get an average guy who's should be kind of slightly above average, but okay.
Yeah.
Ketel Marte is well above average. So if you can get him on that contract, you are laughing.
Yeah, you are, guys. But let us know your thoughts in the comments down below of every single rumor we've talked about so far. Of course, like we mentioned, by the next podcast we make on Thursday, it's going to be completely different, and there should be some moves that happen along the way. But if you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and as always, guys, we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.